It's another 50-degree morning here. Fall is definitely setting in. You know, one of the things about Atlanta is that we don't really have much of a fall. It's like summer for a long time and then drops off, and we're into our version of winter, which is obviously not as cold as some other places. But, you know, same thing happens, the reverse happens in the spring. And, you know, in the gardening circles, we refer to this as a shoulder season. So it's like high, drop off, then low, and then back up. So you know, other places have more gentle transitions, but not so much here. But definitely not complaining. One of the relatively mild winters is one of the things I like about living here. But you know, out here, 7:30 in the morning, and getting my sunlight, feeding the chickens, and you know, they are just making a mess. You know, I've tried so many systems of getting them, you know, food and in ways that they can't spill and stuff. And you know, the when I first started, I had built this PVC feeder that had a large 2 is a 4-inch diameter PVC pipe, and I had cutouts along the bottom that they could stick their heads in. And that worked okay, but they still spilled plenty, and you know, they overate. So that was a problem. But so now I come out every day rather than trying to do a bulk feed once a week. And you know, it's multidimensional. Like I was saying yesterday. I was thinking this morning as I was, you know, lying in bed for a minute before I got up, that you know, the multidimensionality that I was talking about over groups of people in your life and over time, you know, it's quite similar to the permaculture principle of stacking, where you're stacking functions, getting as much output per input as possible, and in multiple ways. So yeah, you know, just the activity of coming out here, feeding chickens, obviously that produces chicken products, eggs, meat, compost, and it also gets me out into the sunlight. I mean, it's a little cloudy today, but you know, in general, gets that UV radiation coming into my eyes, which is helpful. You know, balance in all things. You don't want to be out in the Sahara getting yourself cataracts, which was apparently it's a thing that happens there. My mother-in-law actually worked for an optometrist back in, I don't know, late 70s, early 80s, and this was in New York City. They had a big part of their practice was people coming from the Middle East for cataract surgery. Apparently all the glare and intense sunlight there, you know, causes problems over time. So I imagine by this day and age they have, you know, pretty good sunglasses, but you know, I don't know. So yeah, it gets me out here, balancing all things: sunlight, radiation exposure, vitamin D production, you know, down-regulating melatonin in the morning so that we can up-regulate at night, all that stuff. So yeah, the multidimensionality, it applies to all the things. And you know, because it's cloudy, I want to be out here for, you know, 20 minutes or so. And you know, part of spending the time here to do that is, you know, making this little video. Multiple purposes. I have weird ears, and no matter what little knob I get for headsets, you know, none of them stay in. I'm not sure exactly why that is, but just something with the geometry. My ear is a little unusual. Oh man. So yeah, applying all the things. So I was mentioning hawks. I don't know if you can see that guy right there. It's flying away. That was a big bird. And you know, one of the positives of having my backyard gone back to nature, as it were, is a lot of attractive habitat for animals. Oh, there's another one. It might be the same one. But yeah, the birds of prey are around, and they eat all kinds of stuff. I've been in my living room and just sitting there watching TV or something, and I would hear just birds, just of all kinds, just start squawking, and just like hundreds of birds making noise rather than just like one or two. And I don't know if you can hear this. There's a couple things in the background just making their individual noises, but this is like hundreds of birds just making loud noise. And I come out and into the backyard here, and I see on two wooden posts that I have, there are two large birds of prey, hawks or something of some kind. And the birds were giving the alarm. The small birds were giving the alarm about the big birds and say, "Everybody watch out, predators are here." So yeah, it's definitely an interesting thing to observe. I mentioned permaculture earlier. If you don't know what permaculture is a design philosophy for really human habitation, and it's focused a lot on what these days is called regenerative agriculture, using animal functions to improve soil fertility and all that kind of thing. It's something I've been a fan of for a long time. And I realized somewhere along the way, I was reading, there's an Australian guy, Bill Mollison, who's kind of the originator. He wrote this giant textbook called the Permaculture Design Manual, or Designer's Manual, I don't know, something like that. And it's a lot about going through the design philosophy of permaculture. And he's talking about stacking functions, and he's talking about making sure that you're achieving as much output per unit input as possible, all these kinds of things. And I realized, they have this framework of, I forget the exact terminology, but you want to, observe something, you want to test out a new idea, like, putting a plant in a particular place, taking advantage of a particular microclimate. And, then you figure out what happens, and you repeat, basically. And I realized this is sort of it's a spin on the scientific method, right? It's, observe, hypothesize, experiment or test, theorize, and observe something else. So that's basically just how our epistemology works. And how we think about things, dictates so much. I have an old video. If you go back to my channel, I think I was in my car. This was years ago, talking about how, when the student is ready, the teacher appears. And I realized, I had this realization, I don't know, whenever I made that video, that, the teachers are all around us at all times. It's just, you can only see what you can see with the knowledge that you have and the insight that you have. So as your knowledge and insight changes, you start to recognize all these other things around you.